Hi everyone, I hope you're all well. I want to share with you today a really quick video all focused around free movement. So those of you who practice my classes regularly will know that I often leave spaces where there are either lots of instructions that are a bit more like suggestions, or there are no instructions at all, and I'm sort of hoping that you'll find your way into something that feels right for you. So the real value in those kind of bits of practice is that they tend to show you quite quickly what works and what doesn't in your body, and what you're drawn to, and maybe what you could choose to work on. So we tend to veer towards stuff that feels good, that we're good at, that feels like that's the direction our body likes to go in. And then it's also interesting to play with the opposite side, the stuff that we don't tend to come towards naturally when we're moving freely. And that's the stuff that maybe we're interested in then working on in other parts of the practice. So we're going to do three different types of kind of free movement. So I like to call the kind of setup a kind of base for free movement. So we've got three different bases for those free movement type positions, and they're all going to be on hands and knees. So we'll be on all fours the entire time, but I'll give you some options for switching out hand positioning if your wrists get tired. So we'll sort that out as we go. But you'll notice I don't even have a mat down. You don't need one. In fact, if you don't have one, sometimes it kind of lets you get a little bit more creative, lets you move a little bit out of your normal kind of rectangular structure. I would just suggest though, if you've got sensitive knees, slide a blanket in underneath your knees so that they're nice and comfortable the whole time. I've got a carpeted floor, so it works to keep me reasonably comfortable. But if you're on a hard floor, blanket under your knees, or folded up mat under your knees, works kind of wonders. So we'll start on all fours. All fours is hands and knees. Hands are stacked underneath your shoulders. And you're thinking about spreading the hand out wide. I'll just show you this quickly. Hand spreads out wide. All five of your fingers press down. I don't know if you can see what's happened there. The palm of my hand is pulled up and away from the floor. It's kind of Spider-Man grip. That's what you're after on the floor, as if you're trying to claw against the floor. Shoulders are stacked over your wrists. Hips are stacked over your knees. And we're going to start with cat-cow. So cat-cow is a brilliant base for free movement. And we'll start with our familiar version. We'll start with the one that we know best. We'll inhale to drop our belly low and lift our gaze. We'll exhale to pull the belly in, arch the spine, look back towards the knees. Keep that going for a couple of breaths at your own pace, so you don't need to follow my rhythm. You work at whatever speed suits you. Maybe making sure that you're not jamming into any part of the movement. Instead, you're looking to keep the movement nice and fluid. If there's a part of the back, usually kind of lower back, that's very bendy, we've got a tendency to kind of exaggerate from that point and not then encourage the rest of the sticky spine to get involved. We'll start to make this cat-cow shape a little bit more our own now. And I'd like you to maybe think about pulling forwards on your inhale breath and rolling backwards on your exhale breath. So it might be that the hips move a little here, pulling forwards on your inhale breath, snaking the body through, rounding backwards on your exhale breath. Nice. And from there, you could start to make that movement whatever feels right for you. So maybe you're a bit snaky coming forwards, maybe it feels good to roll from side to side. Maybe as you go back, you want to lean into a bit of a side stretch one way, and then maybe coming through the other way. So we're starting to drop into a place where there are little to no rules. There are very limited instructions. If there is a rule, the rule that we're most interested in here is no sharp pain. We work with delicious discomfort. We work with sensations of interesting stretchiness, but we stay well away from sharp pain. You might start to turn this from a linear movement into more of a rounded one, maybe rolling the rib cage from side to side, as if you were kind of barrel rolling the belly, I'm trying to make these movements quite big so you can really see them clearly. Yours don't have to be as big as this. You could change direction. You might be bouncing the hips from heels all the way up and forwards. You might want to bend through the elbows and roll the shoulders. This is one of my personal favorites. Take that the other way. We'll go for sort of a couple more breaths here, just moving from flexion and extension of the spine, but then letting the rest of the body do whatever it needs to do to allow that to happen. So all cat-cow is really is the exercise of flexing and extending the spine, and we can add all sorts of other dimensions to it. So we'll go for one more breath, maybe do your favorite thing one more time, or maybe even yourself out. Make sure you've done both things both sides, and we'll meet back in neutral. We'll give the wrists a break, so tuck your toes underneath, walk your hands back in, and just give the wrists a little bit of a shake out. So from here, we're coming into a different kind of base position. We're going to keep the movement pretty fluid and free, but we'll start small. Lots of you will have done this with me before. We're going to do it on both sides. So bringing yourself back onto your hands and knees. There's an option to come off the wrists if the wrists are aching. We'll send the right leg out to the side. We'll you can't see it anymore, but we're going to let the toes spill out. They want to point probably out to 45 degrees. And then you're going to drag that leg in. You can see that my toes are pointed slightly off to the side. Drag that leg in until your shin is roughly a straight line. You've got knee roughly stacked over ankle, toes pointing slightly out to the side. Your heel, at the back here, I don't know if you can see that, my heel is roughly in line with my other knee. So heel in line with knee, knee stacked over ankle. And we're just going to start to move here. Exactly the same as where we've been, maybe rocking backwards and forwards, maybe rolling in the spine. Maybe you want to test out how your cat-cow feels here. Give you a clue, it's going to feel very weird. Maybe you want to send the hips back towards the heel, maybe they're coming across. Maybe they're going in the other direction. You can come up on your toes. That might feel interesting. You come up on the heel of your foot, lifting your toes up. Don't forget your hands aren't glued to the floor. They can move around here as well. It might feel interesting to take the hands off in different directions. Trying to keep your feet in the position roughly that they're in. And then once you feel like you've got to grips with how that hip is on the right hand side, you might be feeling a lot of action in the right hamstring as well, how that feels, then you might begin to incorporate the right arm. So this is always kind of everybody's favorite big moment, is when you get to inhale the right arm high. And then from inhaling the right arm high, you can start to take it off in any direction. Maybe it reaches to the front of the room while the hips reach back. Maybe it reaches for the back of the room, coming onto your lower back, opening in the shoulder. Maybe you're drawing giant circles with that right arm. You can move however you like. And that is simultaneously really freeing and really daunting. So if you're stuck, just repeat the movement that you're doing, and something else will come. If you're stuck, just make one movement and do it again, and do it again, and do it again until something else starts to emerge. Nice options here. You could bring right hand onto your lower back. That might feel good. You could bring right hand onto the back of your head and lift through your right elbow, cradling the head. That might feel lovely. Really nice way to release the head. Or you might want to thread the right arm under and through the left. Bit of a variation on your thread the needle. If your left hand is really taking a lot of strain here, you're more than welcome to swap your left hand for your left fist. You've got your legs firmly planted, you can keep stable there. We'll go for sort of one more breath, maybe doing your favorite thing one more time. And then we'll meet back. Right hand comes to find the floor. The right knee comes to match up with the left. Just pause. Just pause. No movement. Notice how the body feels. Right hand, right arm, right shoulder. Right side of the waist, right hip and knee. Cool. We'll do the same on the other side. So if you need to release the wrists, feel free to. When you're ready, you're sending the left foot out to the side, let the toes spill out and drag the left heel in. So left heel is roughly in line with right knee. You've got left knee stacked over left ankle, so roughly straight line in the shin. And again, we just start small. Even though you've done this on the other side and you know how it felt there and you know which bits felt great and which bits you'd love to do again, just start small here. Maybe a bit of flexion and extension at the spine. Maybe you begin to shuffle the hands around. Take them off over here, why not? Maybe you're coming up on the toes or coming high on the heel of the foot. You can move around backwards, side to side through the hips. You can move backwards and forwards through the hips. When you feel ready, when you feel like you've got to grips with how the hip and the hamstring are, and you're staying away from sharp pain that we want to move quickly away from, that's a sign that we're kind of in real stress there, in real kind of, I don't want to say danger, but the muscles and the ligaments are really kind of under pressure. When you feel ready, we'll go for it with the left hand, left arm, sweeping across the chest, opening you out to the side, and you can go for it. You can move the left hand, the left arm in any direction you like. And don't forget here, the hand can move without you needing to look at it. So sometimes, something we often find ourselves doing is sort of tracking every movement that the hand makes with the head, and that can be quite stressful in the neck. So just allow the hand to kind of get on with stuff and let the neck do whatever feels good. So maybe the head hangs, maybe you love that real supporting of the head from last time and you want to stick there for a minute. Maybe you need to come up onto your right knuckles. You've got that option always. Maybe you're sweeping through big circles. Maybe your circles are over the floor. Maybe you're going to thread the hand under and through, a little variation of your thread the needle. You could pause. If you find something you like as well, you don't have to keep moving. You can pause. You can pause and be still and enjoy it. We'll go for sort of one more breath, maybe doing your favourite thing again. Favourite thing one more time. And then we'll meet back, left hand to find the floor. Left knee to match up with the right. Back on all fours. Give the wrists a break here if you need to. If you can, just pause and be still. Notice left hand, arm, wrist, shoulder, side of the waist. Left hip, left knee, left foot. Notice how they feel. Amazing. So if you need to come off the wrists, we'll just give them a bit of a breather. This last little base for free movement is very similar to where we've been again, but sort of incorporates everything that we've done up till now. So we're going to find ourselves back on all fours. Coming back onto your all fours, just make sure as you're coming into this that there is some clear space behind you, because you're going to move your leg and chances are you might not be able to see. Last time I did this in this room, I had this candle on and I knew it was there when I could feel it against my toes. So just go carefully. Find yourself back on all fours. We're going to send, when you're ready, the right leg back behind us. The right leg is going to come back behind us. Tuck the right toes underneath. Push the right heel away. We'll just start here. A little bit of a rock. That might feel like a nice place to kind of get to grips with how the leg is, how the calf muscle, hamstring, all that jazz is down the back of the leg. You choose how much pressure you're putting on in that rock. You can really push with the hands a lot if you want to. And then we'll turn the rock into something else. We'll think about bringing the knee up in towards the chest. A little bit of a pull through the belly. Doesn't have to come right in, it's not a crunch. You're just seeing how it feels to hover the knee. Send it back. Maybe that again. And then send it back. And then I want you to imagine this back leg is going to turn into a tail. And so you could maybe start to take it from side to side. It can bend, it can move freely. And basically, you're just going to start to wave your leg around. And it really is as simple as it sounds. You can bring it through, you can send it out long, You can move the leg, knee out to the side. Maybe you're kicking it up high. Maybe you like a bent knee and kind of finding that sort of figure of 8 action behind you, like you were wagging your tail from side to side. This one is definitely a little bit more interesting and challenging for the core because it requires quite a lot of stability in the body. So it's a nice little core challenge at the same time. Allow for that movement that feels good in your hip. If you are struggling to stay on your hands, don't forget you've always got the option of your fists, but in this shape as well, it does make sense sometimes to come down onto the elbows. So you're welcome to test this out on your elbows if your wrists need a bit of a breather. Maybe you can take your foot right across to the other side, find a lovely big side stretch. Maybe you're moving the leg right up as far as you can. If you're interested in a little bit of a challenge, here's an interesting one for you. Legs straight. See if you can bring these toes up and tap the back of your right wrist. Almost. Send it back. Nice. There's a little one for you to play with in your own time. The leg doesn't have to stay lifted, remember. You can tap down on the floor whenever you like. We'll go for like one more breath here. Maybe doing your favorite thing again, whatever that might be. And then we'll gently bring the leg back down to the ground, knee to find the floor. Knee to find the floor. Release off your wrists if you need to. Notice if the breath has got a little short, if the heart rate has picked up here, if that felt like a challenging place for you to be in your belly, chances are it probably was. Give yourself a minute if you need it. And then we'll do exactly the same thing on the other side. So on the other side, we're coming back onto hands and knees. Don't forget you've got fists and elbows. If elbows works for you, the only thing to be mindful of is you want to keep a nice solid base, so that's elbows underneath your shoulders. If you find yourself here, you're putting a lot of kind of pressure through the center of the back, through the center of the shoulders. This is much more stable, keeps you upright, keeps you lifted. So we'll find ourselves back on hands and knees to begin with. You can make changes onto fists or elbows as we go. And we'll just start with the left toes back behind us, toes tuck, that little rock, backwards and forwards through the sole of the foot. Your choice, how much pressure you're putting on, whether you want to be still or whether you want to keep it moving. And then when you feel ready, we'll draw the knee to the chest. So we'll just see how it feels to pull the knee in and send it back up. We'll do it again. So the muscles that kick on here, that strong kind of belt around the body, those are the ones that are going to keep you stable when you now start to lift and pull your leg in different directions. So just make sure you've got the sensation of those bottom ribs sort of hugging in towards one another. The belly is tight, although it is not clenching. So it's not as though you're doing a crunch the entire time. It's just there for stability. So it's switched on a little bit of the way. We'll start to lift those left toes and begin to see how it feels to move that left leg. Maybe we bend at the knee and see if we can draw a big circle with the knee, or maybe a figure of 8 with the knee. Maybe you're looking to send the leg out long, stretching it out and away from you. Move the leg in any direction you like. Again, it's lovely maybe to bring it across the body, big side stretch. I'll get into this right glute as well. Move the knee through. Don't forget you've got all of this space under the body to play with, as well as all the space above and behind the body. So imagine the leg is momentarily transformed into your tail. So it really has got the capacity to kind of just swoosh around in any direction you want it to. Nice moment maybe to think about what kind of a tail you might have. Would it be like a fluffy squirrel tail, or like a sleek tiger tail, or useful like a monkey's tail? We'll go for sort of 1 or 2 more movements here, 1 or 2 more breaths. If you're looking for that challenge on the other side, straight leg. See if you've got the space to do it on this side. Straight leg, all the way up, toes tap, back of the left wrist, send it back. Ooh. And maybe a last little bit of movement. And then we'll release. Bring left knee back to match your right knee. Find yourself steady here. You might sit yourself back, hips to heels. Maybe you'll roll through the wrists, give them a bit of a break. We'll just finish. Those are your 3 kind of bases for free movement. We'll just finish, if you have run them all together as like a little mini practice, we'll just finish in child's pose. So take the knees a little bit wider than hip width distance, just so you're getting a little bit of action, a little bit of stretch into the outsides of the hips, which you might feel have done loads of work there. So it might feel like these kind of muscles at the top of the bum, outsides of the hips are really where it's all kicking in. We'll just walk ourselves gently down. You might feel those stretch off as you go. Don't forget, as with everything, you've got options in child's pose. So maybe arms long, forehead on the mat is perfect for you. Maybe you want to bring the hands in and just rest the head gently on the hand. You can go side of the head or forehead down. Or maybe forehead down and arms reaching back by your sides is the answer. You can choose whatever version of child's pose makes sense in your body at this moment. And guess what? You don't have to be still. You could choose to rock the hips slightly from side to side. Maybe you want to roll the forehead across the hands or the floor to just smooth out any tension there. If you are still, notice that you're not still, that your breath moves the body, that your heart is beating, that there are processes happening in the body all the time. And when we move freely like this, we give ourselves an opportunity to get closer to those processes, to tap in to the rhythm of our own body. Take a last full, slow, easy breath here. And then when you're ready, stretching the arms out long if they're not there already. As if you were trying to paint 2 stripes on the mat in towards your body, you will drag the hands in and roll yourself to kneeling. The hands travel up the fronts of the legs. The hands travel up the front of the body. Find one hand over the other on the center of the chest. Pause. You can seal this little mini practice if you want to. Maybe you want to bow the head to the heart or bring the hands to heart center. It's your choice, or something else maybe that suits you. As always, no instructions, only suggestions. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope I'll see you all really soon.